Hello, everyone. This is Coach Smith, Love the Game 24_7 podcast, coming to you with some great content for you young athletes and parents out there. So today in this video, I will be diving into the world of college sports recruiting for you young athletes and parents who may be feeling, overwhelmed or just not sure if you're going about things right for your young athletes recruiting process. So for all you aspiring college athletes, I will be giving you 3 of my top tips to boost your exposure and to get you noticed by more college coaches. So it doesn't matter whether you're male or female or what sport you play, these 3 top tips will help any young athletes through the recruiting process. All right. These tips, they will save you time and improve your percentages of hearing back from college coaches. So as a former college athlete myself, I didn't have the privilege of having official visits like a lot of the good athletes have today. I didn't have a lot of help from my high school coach, like a lot of us did during my time. And so I learned a lot about the recruiting process after I got to college, talking to my college coaches, and they would use us to help entertain when the high school students would come on official visits. So I kind of learned that process even more once I got to college, as I said. And so we would show the kids around campus when they would come on their official visits. So that gave us opportunity to talk to some of the young athletes. And so you're probably wondering how they got noticed and earned this official visit opportunity. As I learned from my own recruiting experience, there were several things that I did that I'm going to share with these 3 top tips that I'm going to give you that helped me elevate my exposure to the college coaches. And so I got a lot of responses back from using these 3 top tips I'm going to share with you. And so this is going to definitely help you elevate your recruiting process. However, you must be willing, okay, to step outside of your comfort zone and reach out, right, to these college coaches and make the initial contact, okay, because these college coaches, they're not, in most cases, not familiar with you. And so you're going to have to initiate contact, okay? And this is the start of you fulfilling your dream, all right, of earning an athletic scholarship to the school of your choice, okay? And so you must reach out to as many college coaches or colleges as possible, okay? You young athletes out there and parents, hopefully you're listening to this video. And I also meant to say at the beginning of this video, please like this video and also be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would greatly appreciate that. And so without further ado, let's get right into my first top tip on what you athletes, young athletes should be doing and parents should be helping them as well. And that is, okay, you should have your parents, whoever was a good writer, or your guidance counselor or teacher or somebody like that to help you with this professional email. Okay. And so this is the first top tip that I'm sharing with you. All right. And so this will help you gain attention that you're desiring, right? That you need to understand, how to engage these college coaches as you make this initial contact with them through your professional letter or professional email. Now you're going to hear me say, professional letter or email, and that's because when I was going through my recruiting process, email was just something new. It wasn't the preferred way to communicate like it is today. Okay, so I had to write an actual letter and put it in the mail, which took a lot of time, to hear back sometimes. But today you can do things much faster with technology. So you may hear me use those 2 terms, but I'm both, explaining the same thing. It's just today we will use email, professional email. And so I chose to make this video because there are a lot of people out there that are giving you young recruits, your young athletes, some good information. And sometimes I see there's some things that, get missed. And I want to be sure that you guys get, some great information to help you really kick off your recruiting, especially as you move from middle school into your high school years. Okay. And so, but there are a lot of people I listen to, and sometimes I'll listen to what they say. They give great information, but I don't hear a lot of conversation about these three top tips that I'm giving you, like starting out with your professional email that you need to send to some of these college coaches. I don't hear a lot of people talking about that, which is a main ingredient in helping you boost your exposure and improve your responses from college coaches. All right. And so as I got my, as I got out of my comfort zone, it helped me to save time and increase my responses from college coaches that I sent personal letters to, or today we say professional emails. So I also have an email template, professional email template, as well as a player profile template. And so I have that available to you for those who are interested in helping you save time. And so you don't have to put a whole lot of thought into it or anything like that. That'll help you get started right away. And so I'll talk more about that when I get to the end of this video and how you can get those two templates. So I desire to help you young athletes gain some insight, right, as well as you parent, into the recruiting process to be sure you achieve your athletic scholarship dreams. Okay, that's what it's all about. So before you young athletes start trying to send a professional email to college coaches, let me help explain to you how exactly your professional email should be written. Okay, and as I said, you want to get the parent that maybe who was a good writer or a guidance counselor or your English teacher, somebody along that line to help you write your professional email and proofread it for you to be sure before you hit that submit button that it's done, as I'm sharing with you today. All right. And so as a young athlete, you can start your communication and engagement to college coaches at any time. Okay. You don't have to wait. And I, encourage you middle school athletes to start working on these things, and parents, you start helping your middle school athlete work on these things. Okay. And so now, even though you can start your communication to a college coach at any time, they are not always able to respond to you, okay, right away. So it depends on your year of high school status, right? Of when a college coach can respond to you. So just be patient. Don't get frustrated or anything of that nature. Okay. So I'm giving you exactly how this thing is going to work. Okay. So you young athletes should begin your initial professional email after your freshman or sophomore years in high school. Okay, in of playing your sport. All right, and so there are some rules and some guidelines that you must follow per NCAA rules. So there are some rules to this whole deal that you have to be aware of. Okay, guys. So as I said, I don't want you to get all bent out of shape about I'm not hearing from them. Coach Smith shared this information, but like I said, per NCAA rules, these college coaches don't want to get themselves in trouble. Okay, and so they have to be careful of making sure of what year you're in, as a high school athlete. All right. And so, as I said, per NCAA rules, they can respond to you by June of your sophomore year, okay, in high school. The rule was moved up from when I was in high school and pursuing my dreams of going to college and getting an athletic scholarship. They moved it up from September 1st of your junior year to June 15th of your sophomore year. Okay, so this is huge. NCAA has been making some improvements. I know we have these transfer portal things going on, and we have the NIL and all those things happening, but this is huge with them moving the date, from your junior year to your sophomore year. Okay. And it's huge because it's going to help you high school athletes to get a jump start, right, on your recruiting process, especially if you get your emails or your professional emails in those various colleges' databases, their athletic database for whatever sports you may be playing or pursuing your athletic scholarship dreams. All right. And there have been a lot of improvements, like I said, to help high school athletes promote themselves, right, to these college coaches. And you want to be sure you follow these steps that I'm sharing with you today, all right, to help you boost that and save you time. Okay. And I'll get more into that later as well about the importance, that you need to save time and why that's important to these college coaches. Okay. And you will help yourself out greatly. Okay. young athletes, all right, young lady, young man, with your email, right, your professional email, being done just like that, well written, okay, and has no grammar issues. So that's why I'm explaining to you about getting your letter proofread, right? And this is what we call professional email etiquette that college coaches will take notice of you and appreciate, right? It shows that you really took some time, to focus on writing your letter because you don't want it to be very long, right? A professional email needs to get straight to the point and not very long, as much as possible, okay? Your email, your professional email or your letter needs to start out with, dear coach, right, with their last name. So if I'm interested in going to the University of Colorado with Deion Sanders, I would say, dear Coach Sanders, right? I would use his last name or her last name, whoever the coach may be, male or female, okay? And you're introducing yourself. So that so after you do dear Coach Sanders, you want to go into introducing yourself, starting out with your name, your grade level, your high school name, your head coach's name, and maybe even your position coach and what position you play, right? And that you are very interested in continuing your athletic career at their program, okay? And so that's very important that you start your professional email or professional letter that you're going to send to them in that format, in that way, all right? And if this is a dream school, let them know that, right? And be brief and to the point, right? And be sure that you include the next thing is your academic information, your GPA, honors, advanced classes, all those things. And let me just back up a little bit, when I say when you introduce yourself, and also about if this is your dream school, you want to be sure you point that out to them, because this may be your dream school because maybe you had a grandfather or grandmother or parent, that played sports at that particular university as well. So you want to point out any of those things that of why it might be your dream school, okay? Because you may have some history with family, aunt, uncle, doesn't matter, okay? And so, like I said, you're gonna put down your after you introduce yourself, you're gonna, put down your academic information, right? Any honors or advanced courses, those types of things. And then the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna proceed to give your measurables, okay? Your height, weight, position, right? And you should give your stats, right? I played running back, and so you may be at a school where you have a 2 or 3 running backs. Everybody's getting some play time, and you may not be a thousand-yard rusher or a 1,000-yard receiver. You may or you may not. But one of the most important things is your yards per carry or your reception yards per carry, right? So it's important that if I'm a running back, I want to have at least over 4 yards to carry. As a receiver, I want to potentially have over 10 yards, receiving 10 yards per reception, receiving, right? I may want to have several interceptions if I'm a DB. I want to be sure I'm hitting maybe, well in the high 200s as a batter in baseball, 300, right? You want to hit a high batting average, okay? You want to be a good percentage fielding balls, right, in the infield and the outfield, right? You want to have good times if you're a track athlete, in your races, right? Good times that are really competitive in the state, right, and maybe even national. Okay, that's also very important. So you want to be sure that you proceed to give that kind of information, right? Um, and any awards or honors, right, for your team, for your city, county, for your state, any kind of honors, accolades that you may have. It would be great to also include if you're a team captain or leader, okay, on your team, and also include some extracurricular activities outside of sports that you may be involved in. That's also a pretty big deal. And if you play more than one sport, right, indicate that as well, because coaches like to see that you excel in more than one sport. All right. And so finally, remind them again of why you're excited about receiving a potential offer from them, right? And including them on your final official visit list, right? You want to, hey man, I'm highly considering you guys, right? And you may also mention sometimes in these letters or down the road, if you don't put it in your initial professional letter, and you start building a relationship with some of these coaches, you need to let them know when the other schools are recruiting you pretty hard as well, right? Especially if it's another school in your conference, right? you want to share that information if you're getting recruited heavily by other schools that they're very, these coaches are very familiar with. Okay. But definitely you want to remind them why you're excited about receiving an offer, right? And maybe potentially putting them on your, like I said, your final official visit list, right? And that you have plans to potentially attend their summer camp, right? And compete with other athletes at the summer camp, and also to meet the coaches. So you can start building a relationship with them. Okay. And so you want to, briefly state these types of things, right? And that you're desiring to get a degree in such and such a area or focus, marine biology, it could be reading, math, sciences, or whatever your inspiration is, and degree, business, it could be any of those things. Okay, so you want to mention that as well, because these coaches want to know, because if they have that particular degree and it's a pretty strong degree that they offer that you're interested in, they're going to look into those things and try to be sure you're aware of it, right? Especially if they really want to come after you and recruit you, right? So, and so, like I said, let them know about your areas of focus that you want to get a degree in, so that that after you or they review your video footage, right, and see you at summer camp competing against other recruits that they may be highly considering, and that you're outdoing them just as much as they didn't realize it, because maybe you were somebody that they just came on their radar, right? And so you want to be sure you mention those kinds of things, that you're interested in coming to the summer camp and competing, right? And so because it's all about wanting to help them elevate their program. Okay. And so you want to make certain also in this professional letter that you have your huddle link or whatever platform that your high school uses to have your video that you can send to coaches. Okay. That's very important. And also be sure you have your social media handles on there, especially your Twitter, right? Your X. Because as I've shared on some videos before, one of the main social media platforms that every college coach uses, right, for every college sport is X. They use Twitter. That is a main social media platform that all these high school coaches will use to be sure they keep in contact with you young athletes. And so be aware of that and using that platform and keeping connected and staying in contact with these coaches. It's very important that you realize that this platform X and very important that you stay in contact with coaches and that you don't miss out. You need to have a regular schedule on reaching out to some of these coaches who are showing you love after you've sent this professional email, right? And they viewed your video and they now starting to really consider you potentially as one of their recruits that they're going to come after, okay, in your sport, okay? And like I said, you want to elevate their program. You always want to mention that, especially when you meet them, and be sure you give good handshakes and all that good stuff, right? But everything is starting from this professional email that we're talking about today to help you boost your responses from college coaches, okay? And just like I said, you want to be careful when you end this professional email, okay, or letter, that you use sincerely or best. You don't want to use from, because you don't personally know these coaches like that yet, okay? So you want to be sure use sincerely or best, okay? Very important, all right? That shows how mature you are and how serious that these coaches will see that you are, because you've taken the time to really be, to show that professional email etiquette that I mentioned earlier, okay? And so, like I said, be sure you have all your links and everything on there for these coaches, because you got to make things easy for them. All right, that's what I want to mention. To you guys as we narrow this down about this professional letter. It's all about how can you make this easy for these coaches, right? To review your video and to check you out and make sure you're playing at a high level that may catch their interest. Okay, so just make sure like you're being professional throughout this email that you're going to be sending to these coaches. And one thing you definitely want to do is in this professional email is you want to stay away from bragging on yourself, right? And having a crazy subject line, right, in your email, right? You don't want to have a subject line that's like, I'm your top recruit, or I'm the best recruit in my recruiting class that you guys are going to be pursuing. You don't want to say things like that. Your subject line should state exactly what you're trying to convey, right? It should say player recruiting introduction and player review in your name, okay? And so you want to be sure to include an attachment of your player profile template that I mentioned, that I have available along with a professional email template. But like I said, you want to be sure your professional email, right? Or in the subject line, you know, it just states exactly what you're trying to convey, right? I am a player recruiting introduction. This is a player recruiting introduction and player review. All right, that's what it should say in the subject line with your name. Okay, and so that keeps you from being so braggadocious and kind of might turn some coaches off. And so you want to be careful about that. And so lastly, on this professional email, you want to be sure you send your letters or professional email to multiple coaches. Okay, your the email address that you want to be sure that you use for your main email, for the main contact, is the head coach's email address or his assistant. Okay, and so you want to be sure you CC all the other coaches. So you want to CC the assistant coach. So whatever position you play, whatever sport you play, you want to CC the assistant coach, the position coach, the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator, or whoever it may be in basketball or baseball, depending upon what position you're playing. You want to be sure you CC those coaches and the recruiting coordinators or the directors of recruiting and grad assistants, right? These grad assistants are working on their graduate degree because they want to go into coaching. So they're going to do most of the grunt work for the head coaches and the assistant coaches. This is how this thing works, right? So you want to be sure you'll see emails on there for grad assistants, and it'll have their names. Because like I said, they're going to do that grunt work, okay? And so you got to include them. You don't want to send 10 different emails, okay? You want to send one email that has the head coach's email address and you CC everyone else, okay? Where they all get it at the same time, right? With your links, right? And your attachments of your player profile, right? Which is like a sports resume, all right? And so you definitely want to, you got to do that. You got to hit as many of those coaches, and these grad assistants are trying to make a name for themselves because they're trying to get into the coaching ranks, okay? And they want to be sure they find some talent to help the program. So you have to include them. I'm giving you some of these pointers, okay? Now, some people will explain to you that that you listen to, like myself, to help you guys with and young ladies with your recruiting, will explain to you that you cannot, step on campus for an unofficial or official visit until your junior year in high school. I think this is some bad or not totally accurate advice. Okay, they're somewhat correct on that, but this brings me to my second top tip. All right. And this has to do with you making visits, right? Through attending summer camps, right? You can make a visit by doing the summer camp. This is what I did with my son, my oldest son, that pursued college sports and is playing pro sports currently. One of the things I did with him, because I recognized that he really liked playing football and baseball, is I took him to camp. Okay, at University of Florida, when Urban Meyer was the head coach and Tim Tebow was there, and my son was a quarterback. And so one of the key things to help him figure out if this is something that he really loved doing and he really wanted to pursue this, when he was in 7th, 8th grade, I took him to football camp, right, for like 3 or 4 days to really let him see who he's going to be competing against as he gets, grows up. He's not just competing with local kids, he's competing with kids across the country, around the nation, and today, around the world, because how football and sports in general is just spreading all around the world. And so it was important for him and for you to get to a summer camp. Parents, you got to invest in that. You want to know if this is something they're really going to dedicate themselves to, where it's not something that you got to drag them. They will be dragging you because they're serious about it. Okay. And so this is how you can step on a campus before your high school years. Okay. And you should attend as many college camps as possible, right, in your sport during your middle school years. Okay. Remember I talked about those databases? That's how you get into the databases. Okay. And this is how you can take a visit, even though it's on your own dime. Mom and dad, I invested and did the same thing, and it pays off. Okay. And if your young athlete is serious, Okay, your young lady, your young man is serious. This is what you need to start doing in middle school to help them realize who they're competing against, to be sure that they have what it takes. Okay. And this will help you learn, by going to these camps in your middle school years, what it takes to play at the college level, right? Because the college coaches will treat you like you're their actual players, right? To help you learn what it would take to play at the college level, whatever level it may be, Division 1 with FBS, or Division 1 FCS, or Division 2, and even on down to Division 3 or NAIE, or NJCAA, which is junior college. And so these coaches will do that. And then when you go to these summer camps, what a lot of these schools will do now, they will partner up, and you will have multiple schools in the area, whether they're bigger schools or smaller schools, they will be at the camp. I took my couple of nephews came up a couple of years ago, and I took them to schools up here in North Carolina, Duke, NC State, and Wake Forest. And you have multiple schools like them sharing with some other schools, smaller schools, Division 1 AA or FCS schools, or Division 2 schools in the area. They allowed those coaches to come help work the camp and meet these kids as well. So sometimes you can hit multiple birds with one stone, right? When you go to these camps. And so that's a pretty big deal that you'll learn, and you will see other schools that maybe you weren't even familiar with, right? That'll be out there. Coaches will be out there helping run the camp at the big schools. Okay. So that's very important that you know this. All right. But the main thing is good for you parents. Allow your young athlete, your young lady or young man who's playing in whatever sport it may be, to get coached hard, right? And really find out if this is something they really want to, pursue. So it's very important. And then this will also help them develop, because when they go to these camps, they're going to find out how to do some conditioning drills, how to do some drills specifically geared around their position, how they can play that position better as they get ready to go into high school, or while they're even in high school, because you want to do visits not just in your middle school years, but throughout your high school years, to continue to keep yourself at the forefront of these coaches' minds, because they see you show up. And sometimes you may go to the same, you may go to a camp at the same place. You may change it up and go somewhere different. But definitely when you get into the latter years of high school, you only want to go to the camps where the schools are showing you the most love, because you did all that hard work in your junior year, your middle school years up into your junior year. It's very important that you hit as many camps as possible, so you can figure out, okay, what schools are really coming after me and recruiting me at whatever level it may be. And those are the ones that I may, go to that camp again, because now they're like really serious about recruiting me, and they may want me to come back and see how I've grown, right, and how I look, because they want to put eyes on you and see how you look physically, to see if you've been putting work in physically. Okay, they don't want to just look at video. Okay, so this is why it's important that you go to these camps. As I said, that's the second top tip, is going to these camps so you can help your development, your young athletes' development, mom and dad. All right. And the other thing with why going to these summer camps are important is now you're in their database, right? They have your information. Okay. And now you can't go to every camp, but all these schools have questionnaires. Okay. And so you can go on their website, their athletic website, and fill out their questionnaire, and always have your links to your videos. Okay. And that's very important. Right. So like I said, number one, professional email, and be sure it gets proofread before you hit that submit button. Top tip number two is going to summer camps, because it'll help your development, and you want to start that going to these camps in your middle school years. Okay, listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what Coach Smith is saying. It's very important you do that. All right, that they lay eyes on you early. Okay, and so you definitely want to be sure that you use this time of going to these summer camps, to really help you improve and develop and understand how to play your sport better, and what it's going to take to really get their attention. So by the time you do get into your junior year of high school, you already know what it takes. You've already been developing and doing what you need to do to get their attention. Okay. And so on my third top tip, okay, third and final top tip, you need to make sure your highlights are always included in your email, right, to these college coaches, that link, right, that Huddle link. And be sure, right, that they're always well put together. Be sure your highlights are well put together. That's why it's very important that when you play these games, it doesn't matter about wins and losses. All that matters is what did you look like when you were playing? What kind of teammate were you looking like on during the game from the video footage that you're sending to them? Are you showing that you're playing at another level compared to most people on that field or on that court, right? Or on that baseball diamond or that softball diamond, right? Are you showing that you're one of the best in your video against the competition that you're playing against in your high school? You gotta, everything that you say in this letter, you gotta be able to show it in that video and when they come see you in person. Okay, so be sure your video is well put together, right? And however, do not make the mistake of having inappropriate music playing, right, with your video or your game film footage and highlights. Okay, be sure, right, that you're not doing those types of things. Okay, you will show your immaturity to these college coaches, and you don't want to show that. Save that. You can do another video that you want to save and put music to it for what you might put on social media. Okay, that's cool if you want to do that maybe on social media. But when you're sending a professional email and you're sending your links, you make sure you give them the link that doesn't have distracting music, right? So don't make that mistake of doing that, right? It may turn college coaches off, and and they're thinking that you're not serious. You're not a serious student athlete, right? So do not have distracting music on your highlights, guys, right? It may take their attention away from reviewing your video, and you don't want to lose their attention because you might have some great video footage, but you don't want to lose those coaches' attention. Okay, you want them to solely focus on watching you perform. Okay, at a high level. Okay, you want to show your top plays, right? You also want to send a full game video, right, as well. Okay, you should provide a link that takes them straight to your huddle or whatever platform, as I said, you guys use at your high school. Okay, to record your video and to record your games. So you want to be sure, that you follow these steps of what I'm telling you is going to help elevate you and give you that exposure and get you those responses from those college coaches that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. Okay, and so and like I said, you should always have your huddle link in your profile on Twitter, on X, on your social media platforms. Always have that available. It's all about making it easy for these coaches, guys. All right, mom and dad, you got to stay on them and be sure that you're watching and observing and making sure. I did that same thing with my son and making sure, I helped him manage his social media. Okay. And so this is a new way of, some extra tools that we can use in recruiting, but still recruiting is recruiting. That professional email is going to go a long way in these summer camps and making sure that their videos and their game footage is appropriate without any distracting music on it, right? Make it easy for these coaches, okay, to read your email because it's professionally written and proofread, and they got access to your video, right? And be sure your game footage stands out, right? To where it makes them want to be interested in you and recruiting you, right? Make sure you do that. Do not make your professional email, very long. Make it short and concise for them to read through. Okay, these college coaches to read through. They tend to read shorter emails. Okay, head coaches will have their assistant coaches review player prospects, professional emails, and assistant coaches will use the grad assistants with the recruiting staff to do a deeper dive into potential prospects. That's how it goes. It goes down that line. And then when it stands out to those folks, they know what the head coach is looking for. They know what she's looking for, or what he's looking for as the head coach to help boost their program and make their program successful. And so that staff is going to look for what that head coach has explained, what he's looking for, what she's looking for, right? And there may be a time where a prospect will get a head coach to respond back, right? But then he or she will have his or her assistant to do more follow-up until they narrow down their top prospects, right? And then they'll decide whether they're going to come after you very hard, in your recruiting class. But also remember, I missed this, and I want to make sure I mention this, is you got a lot of student workers that are attending college and working in the athletic office. And so the grad assistants and assistant coaches will use the work study students who know social media to monitor what you're doing on social media and give a report. They do that on a weekly basis. So I'm letting you know that as well, why it's so important to manage that social media platforms that you're on, right? And it's not inappropriate because they have eyes watching. They have these student workers looking at whoever they're highly recruiting. They have their lists made up at every position, who they're recruiting for every recruiting class. And they have these student workers in there, okay, monitoring their top recruits that they're looking at offering scholarships to, okay? So I want to be sure I mentioned that, all right? Because I wish I had somebody, telling me some of this information when I was coming out of high school and doing this. I did the professional letters, and whatnot. I did a lot of them, and I got a lot of letters back from every school I wrote to, sending me the game day booklet, all that stuff, and pamphlets about their program, summer camp, wanting me to attend their camp. And so it's very important that you definitely, listen to this advice that Coach Smith, Love the Game 24_7 is giving you. Okay. These 3 top tips will boost your college coaches' responses, right, in your recruiting. Okay. And hopefully you follow my top 3 tips for a boost in your recruiting, which will allow you to be one of those top prospects, right, for your schools of choice to continue your athletic career at the college level, at the next level. So please, like I said, be sure to, hit that subscribe button and like this video and share it with others that you may know that need this information to help boost their recruiting. So I don't care if you're already in high school and you haven't done some of this, you need to get this done. It's all about showing how serious you are about it and how easy you're going to make it for these coaches to look at your video to start recruiting you. Okay, you got to give them the information. Okay, and so like I said, be sure hit that button for Love the Game 24_7 YouTube channel. And I know these 3 top tips will help to improve your college coaches' responses, right, and boost your recruiting. These things do work. Okay, email, professional email, summer camps, right? Those are visits and appropriate video and highlights. Okay, those are the 3 top tips that you need to follow to get your thing, to get your recruiting a boost, right? Or even get it started if you haven't even started, right? And also now, if you want to purchase my professional email template and the player profile template, which is a sports resume, to help save you time, because I'm trying to save you time. I'm trying to save you a headache. Okay, I have these templates, and you can email me at lovethe247game@gmail.com. That's lovethe247game@gmail.com, or visit, my YouTube channel, as well. A lot of that information is out there, and you can cash out me or Venmo me or PayPal me. Okay, these templates are $50 a piece. Okay, and so my Cash App and my PayPal are Love the Game 27. And my Venmo is Jeffrey-Smith-745, right? So Cash App and PayPal, Love the Game 27. Venmo, Jeffrey-Smith-745. And they're $50 a piece, and be sure you give me your email so I can email you the template so you can get started and getting a bunch of letters out to schools. And you need to get on your Twitter account and follow a lot of these schools and these coaches. You need to do it, and they'll follow you back and start building a relationship and a connection, because they want to know the athlete first. And then once they get to know you as an athlete, they want to know mom and dad. Okay. And so I hope that you've taken these top tips to heart, and you get yourself going. And I look forward to seeing some emails coming my way and Cash Apps being lit up so you can get this information and save you time and save you some frustration and a headache, because this does work. All right. So let's get you started, and I hope to hear from you soon. Have a good day.